Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. The preparation for this corporate event did not go well from the very beginning. If a couple of days ago they were the most loving couple, now they weren't talking at all. Talik even silently presented Tanya with a bouquet of flowers on this spring morning, congratulating her on March 8th. And yet, they silently decided to go together to this event, organized by Talik's boss at a country cottage in honor of this bright spring holiday. Tanya understood that she was to blame for that stupid quarrel. They just had a fight over the TV remote control when Talik was watching some football match. But, as it often happens, word for word, insult for insult. And now the red eyes are looking at each other. They were probably both strong in this family, having difficulty finding a compromise. Nevertheless, Tanya wanted to apologize today. She took care of herself in the morning. What wonderful curls the stylist made for her, and the glued eyelashes just fluttered, and how it suited her, with her blue eyes, and the expensive pink lipstick with glitter was just charming. And also this new red dress with short sleeves and lace, so attractively finishing the hem of the dress. And these shoes. Before going out, Tanya looked like a princess in her charming outfit. A slight smile passed over Talik's face for a second at the sight of his wife. However, he continued to pose as an offended husband. Arthur, which was the name of Talik's boss, prepared everything at the highest level. He always believed that such meetings strengthened the team, allowing them to spend their working hours more productively in the future. A lot of snacks were already cut on the tables, and smiling Ashit was carefully fluttering by the grill, which gave off a pleasant smell of toasted meat. They were all drinking and walking. The corporate party was a success, and the invited guests delighted each other with smiles. Tanya even met Talik several times with glances, but their pride did not allow them to talk. Talik was clearly furious, and Tanya, warmed up by alcohol, pleased the guests more and more with gentle smiles, subconsciously angering her husband. Two Tanis were fighting in it. One demanded to go up to her husband and hug him. The other demanded to continue to rattle his nerves. If she had been sober, the first Tanya would have won an unconditional victory, but now the second Tanya was in clear favorites. Her delicate beauty, her impeccable outfit, her beautiful smile. It is not surprising that some of the men, especially those who came without second halves, began to invite Tanya to dance when pleasant music began to play. Tanya, who went into a rage, fluttered the beautiful hem of her dress to the beat of these beautiful notes. Talik saw everything. He was madly infuriated by this situation, but he didn't find anything better than to periodically pour himself a glass of bitter. He also shouted a toast, and 5 minutes later he fell limply with his head on the table. Colleagues, carefully, took Talik to the back room so that he could sleep a little. Drunk Tanya was even more angered by this situation, and the champagne glass practically never left her hands. And the music was still spinning, and these intoxicating bubbles were playing in my head. She remembered in fragments that someone was dragging her somewhere. My dear Talik, he is near. Sweet thoughts flew through the intoxicated female creature. She lay down on her back on a soft feather bed, only seeing out of the corner of her eye that Arthur was there instead of Talik. But sleep was covering the girl. She closed her eyes and fell into a pleasant languor of sweet sleep. She had a wonderful dream. Her buttons on her beautiful dress were undone. Tanya was smiling in her sleep. How pleasant this sweet dream was to her, as in her youth, when she had her first desire. And these fingers were getting more and more persistent. They were already gently massaging the sweet rolls, which were already almost covered with moisture. Then something hard passed between her beautiful pink lipstick lips. And what a pleasant pleasure it was when the elastic flesh passed, bursting into the girl. Tanya even moved her pelvis in her sleep with pleasure. How pleasant it was, how good it was. She seemed to be biting her lower lip with pleasure even in her sleep. At some point, a fireworks display happened, sending Tanya further into sleep. And then Tanya didn't feel anything. She woke up in the dead of night. Opening her eyes, the girl did not even immediately realize where she was. Someone else's couch. It's dark everywhere. Feeling for the wall, Tanya went out into the corridor, where the light was on. My head ached a little from drinking. She wanted only one thing: to find a husband and go home. Fortunately for her, the same plague, Talik came out of the next room. Silently, he hugged his wife and hugged her to him. During these days of silence, he missed her very much. And now they were silent, but Tanya was so close. She was so dear. They called a taxi, which took a very long time. All this time they were drinking coffee and looking at each other. "Tanya, I love you madly," Talik was saying. "Honey, you're the most wonderful one too." They even kissed in the taxi. They were very good together. Despite their quarrels, they were madly in love with each other. As soon as the apartment door closed, they started kissing. Rather, Tanya was the initiator of these loving hugs, being under the impression of a dream. He was so dear, pleasant, and warm. He was her favorite. The hem of the dress was pulled up in the hallway. During the days of silence, they had nothing, and Talik missed his wife's beautiful body. What insanely beautiful legs! How sweetly this elastic shape sticks out! What a posture! Talik only put it in her, as he drowned in the moisture of desire. He was holding her hips, but it was not only the pleasure of entering a warm one that gave the man pleasure. He saw how good it was for his wife, how she squirmed, enjoying herself. She was so dear, so cute, so sensual. He didn't want to finish so quickly, enjoying every moment of his beloved woman. Talik put his beloved on the sofa, pulling up her dress again. It had been a long time since she had worn the clothes she had taken off in the hallway. His tongue clung to her delicate wet flower, causing moans of passion from this beautiful girl. Tanya just enjoyed the intimacy with her loved one, and she was also pleased with this slight burning sensation between her legs. When the tension reached its limit, she jumped out like a cat from her husband's gentle embrace, laying his supple body on his back. As soon as he visited her body again, Tanya began a crazy race, pretending to be a rodeo rider. It is clear that such jumps could not last long. Tanya had already finished, being under the power of sweet languor, when her husband poured out to her. They just hugged and lay there, realizing that they were dearest to each other. Talik woke up from a pleasant feeling. Tanya did not particularly like this business, however. In honor of reconciliation with her husband, she decided to try her best. How pleasant it was when plump lips gave him a lot of pleasure. And Tanya tried. Even the saliva, in a thin trickle, did not come off her lips when she tried to force the head down her throat. Talik was clearly getting high, taking his wife by the hair, almost wrapping it around his fist. He really liked Tanya's new activity. The warm liquid got into the girl's throat, then more splashes, then another one. Tanya took it with pleasure. The husband lay in bed for another minute, satisfied with the pleasure he had received, and then went to the shower. He had to run to work to get his phone, which he forgot yesterday. After a short gathering, Talik kissed his wife goodbye and slammed the door. Tanya was so pleased with what she had experienced, but still she was being eaten by a worm of doubt. Was there a dream yesterday? He was too bright. She found Arthur's number on the phone. "Hi, Arthur. I'm sorry that I fell asleep yesterday." "It's okay. A lot of people got drunk yesterday." "Arthur, I'm sorry. I'm ashamed to say this, but tell me, did something happen between us yesterday? You're crazy. I don't use the wives of my colleagues." "Tanya, you are, of course, a beautiful woman. There was nothing." How relieved Tanya felt at that moment. She has already decided that she cheated on her husband in a drunken stupor. But he is the best, the most wonderful. He's hers. Relaxing, she went to the bathroom. Drops of water settled on her beautiful body, and she was the happiest woman in the world because she has such a husband. He came in a couple of hours later, and Tanya was already pulling him into bed, promising him a new portion of love and a lot of pleasure. At this time, Arthur was looking at the phone and looking at the photos. Here Tanya is still lying with her legs spread apart. And here she is without clothes, still in the same position. And here is her beautiful form. But the elastic head of a man touches her lips. But this same head penetrates her. And here, and here, and here.